Hello, everyone. My name is Faith Swain, and I'm Ojibwe. I am the granddaughter of Tomano First Nations from Bear Island Reservation. I am also the Indigenous Youth Ambassador at Grow. We are gathered here today on the traditional land of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe people, this by the Dish with One Spoon Welcome Agreement. I would now like to turn it over to Maya and Leon to start our cooking class.
Thanks, Faith. Welcome back, guys. Class number 4 today. It's the last one. It's Pandebono. So again, Maya will be presenting everything. Well, I'm just gonna back away now and let her do the thing that she needs to do. We already have some in the oven, like with the baked beans, and they're gonna be done just in time for us to show you, so we don't have to wait for these ones to finish. So yeah, you can go.
Okay. So first of all, we're gonna use 2 cups of this flour. It's called Yucarina Colombiana. It's basically tapioca starch, and what makes this is the key ingredient to this recipe because how starchy this flour is. So if you got the bag of flour at Growth, then you're gonna have just enough flour for this recipe. If you didn't, that's okay. We're just gonna. So I'm just gonna open the bag, and because I already made some, I have some left over from like the previous batch. So I'm gonna measure how much is in here. So I have half of a cup. So I'm just gonna put that in. And then another half. That's 1 cup. Another half. So 1 cup. 2 half. So I have 2 cups of flour in here. Have some leftover. First of all, we're gonna add all the dry ingredients. So after you're done with the flour, just put 1 teaspoon of salt. You're gonna add 3 teaspoons of sugar. I have brown sugar, white sugar works as well. So 1, 2, 3. In the meantime, I'm gonna suggest you to melt your butter. I'm gonna use 3 teaspoons as well. So I have vegan butter here. I'm just gonna put this in the microwave for around 30 to 40 seconds, depending on your microwave, or you could melt it in a different way, just as long as it's like liquidy. And while that's being done, I'm gonna add I already have it here measured, 2 cups of mozzarella cheese. Shredded mozzarella cheese. I'm just gonna add all of it. A lot of cheese.
Cheese is very important here. I know it's important everywhere where we do it, but it's cheese, bro.
Yeah. And we're also gonna use half of a cup of feta cheese or any type of salty cheese you have. I have one that's from the Latin store. That's the same. It's a Latin fruited cheese.
The butter should be like a liquid.
Yeah, it should be liquid. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. So you're going to be able to do that. Okay. You're going to add half of the cup of milk.
Does it matter? Milk?
No, could be any type of milk. I'm using 2% milk. It's okay. There we go. And we're also going to use an egg. So 1 egg. And just wash your hand and you're gonna start kneading the dough. You're gonna do that real quick.
Janie said, you said 2 cups of cheese, but our recipe says 250 grams. Is that the same?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I confused the measurements. It's 200 grams and that would be 1 cup. So I think I said that for the flour as well. I'm really sorry about that.
So sorry, which should it be? Should it be 250 grams of both?
250 grams. So that would be equal to 1 cup. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm just gonna start. I just put my hands on the dough. It's gonna be a little hard to mix the ingredients at first, but eventually you're gonna get kind of like a yellowish dough. Should be more cheese than anything else. So you're gonna eat for around, I'm gonna say 5 to 10 minutes. And you have to let the dough rest for about 30 to 40 minutes. Just because you want like a thick consistency that you're able to make little balls with the dough. My advice is to try whenever the dough is already rested and you're gonna start like putting them in the oven. Make small balls and try to separate them a little bit because otherwise you're gonna like stick to each other when they're baking.
Oh, and since a lot of people were curious about the store where we get a lot of our items for like Colombian dishes, I'm gonna write the name and the address in the chat if you like to give them a visit, because they have everything you would need for stuff like this.
Yeah.
So it's in St. Catharines. I'll just give you guys the information in the chat.
There's also there's 2 Latin store here in St. Catharines. One, it's called Los Amigos. That's the one that Leon's gonna put on the chat. But there's another one that's the smallest one. You can't find really everything you actually need. Los Amigos has everything you would actually need. But El Bodegón Latino, which is the other store, it's a little more focused on like sending money back home and those type of services. If you're like interested in. I forgot something. The baking powder. Yeah.
We forgot the baking powder as
I'm
well
so
in
sorry.
the mix, but it's fine. You can just
Add it later and it's so good.
Yeah.
Like you guys have the recipe. I have it on my head and I'm just forgetting everything today. So I'm gonna use 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And I usually try to
a strainer.
a strainer because it usually have like clumps of baking powder and it's not really nice to taste it. So that's why I always choose. See how it comes?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of clumps there. That's what you don't want. So if
Yeah.
you use a little strainer for the baking powder, that would be better for you. So you don't have to taste it, possibly, maybe. And yeah, it goes at the same time as all the dry ingredients.
yeah.
We just forgot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You could add it like I did in the last part, and just made a little bit more so that's all mixed up. This dish actually is not from my region originally, so it's not from the Caribbean part. It's from a region called El Valle del Cauca, which is more south and more west in the country. especially in the city called Cali. It's one of the biggest cities in the country. It's a really nice city. Here we go. So you should have something like this. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, it's
see
pretty
it.
white, but
It's a
yeah.
little yellow because of the egg and the butter. And you should be able to like see all the cheese and everything. If someone's falling behind at this point, let us know. I'm just gonna let the dough rest for a couple of minutes and try to put like a cloth, a clean cloth, or like I did 2 paper towels on top. That's the way I was taught to do it. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but that's the way I have to do it. This here already, so I'm just gonna show you guys how it's gonna look like when you already bake them. So
Just like the picture.
yeah, these are small ones, and like I said, you're able to like see the cheese, and they're a little puffy.
Yeah, they're not gonna be balls. They're gonna be like, they're gonna grow a little bit and they're gonna be round, but they won't be perfect balls at all.
Exactly. I did this first row, and I did them too big, so they didn't.
Yeah, so
go,
if you
like,
if
as
you do
high.
them like that, they will become very flat.
Yes.
So half of the size of those big ones. and
yeah.
You're gonna get the right one. We'll show you when we start doing them.
And once your dough, like after the 30 minutes of pressing your dough, you're gonna add a little bit of oil to your pan. I have this cooking spray oil. That's the reason why I'm using it. That is the reason why I'm doing that. It's canola oil nonstick cooking spray. I have it, so I just use it. But if you don't, it's fine. Just rub a little bit of canola oil on top of your pan, and try to make small balls. I'm gonna show you how big once my dough is rested, so that you can guys are like good to go with your Pandebonos on the oven. I would recommend that you start like preheating your oven at 350 Fahrenheit, and you should bake them for 30 minutes. But depends on the oven. I know some ovens like last, like my old one, it usually take like 40, even an hour to bake. So it depends on your.
And do you use like butter for the pan or just oil?
I wouldn't recommend butter just because it burns faster than oil. That's the only reason why. And I was always told to do it with oil, not butter. So I use table salt. This baking powder I got at the dollar store a while ago. And yeah, that's all. I know this is like the dish that has like the most ingredients. And it's but it's really nice. You're not gonna regret it.
If you're using milk, because some people don't like the actual milk, could it be like cashew almond?
Yeah. So yes, if you decided to use like like a plant-based milk, you could add a little bit more butter, just because their cow milk, it has more fat than the milk that like almond, cashew, or oat milk. Just a little bit more butter to your dough, and you should be fine. If somebody has any questions at this point.
Yeah, we appreciate the engagement last time. A lot of questions, so you can go ahead. If you're not at the stage where you can put it in the oven yet, you're probably behind.
I actually learned how to make this dish this last year. I had one Colombian friend, and she was from Cali. She had to go back home and move there. But her family left here. She was like invested in them, and she taught me how to make them. And because she's from Cali, the region that this dish was originated, it has something. They put something in it, and it just tastes amazing. They also have it with dulce de leche, which is like a caramel. So because the it's like cheese bread and it's like a little salty, you have like sweet and we do a lot of combinations with sweet and sour or sweet and salty. So yes, and there's also another version without cheese, and it's called I forgot. It's I forgot the name. Almohavana. Okay, I remember. It's a difficult name to pronounce. It's called Almohavana, and it's like the non-cheese version of Pandebono. There's also a lot of things that you could do with yucarina, not only these two recipes, but this is the, like, because it's not, I'm not like, because this is not from my region and I just learned it last year, I just know that you can make Pandebono with it. But I'm sure that there's other recipes that you could also bake. And you can find this dish all over Latin America, especially in South America. And I know in different, like every country has a different name for it. In Brazil, it's called pão de queijo. It means cheese bread. And in Colombia, we call it Pandebono. It doesn't translate to anything that bono bread. We believe, I looked it up, and I believe that it was called like pan bueno, which means good bread, and people changed it with the time to the point that it got pan de bono. It was pan bueno, pan de bono, I don't know. But yeah, this is something very representative of Colombian food because it has a lot of cheese and because it's like this very specific ingredient. We also do a lot of stuff with yuca, which is in Spanish it's cassava. You can find it at
Sobeys?
okay. So Sobeys, the supermarket. Is it a supermarket?
I don't know. I've never been to Sobeys.
Or for basics, sometimes they have like they also, you can find plantains and stuff there. So sometimes they have it. And it's really nice because you could actually boil the fruit. It's not fruit, it's a vegetable. So you can boil it and like eat it like that with cheese.
So it's something starchy.
Yes. So you could do a lot of stuff with it. Same with the plantains. I did patacones, but there's many other recipes that involve plantains as well.
So why do we let it sit?
Just because we want like the baking powder to like act on the dough, so that when you are putting them on the oven, they're like puff a little bit. And when you open them, it should look something like this. So there's like a lot of cheese going on. And yeah, it's a little. So good. I know. I really want to have it right now. Is it good? Yeah. And for the shredded mozzarella cheese, I use this kind. I think my mom bought it at Costco. I'm not quite sure. This is the brand, and this is how it looks like. It's 2 kilograms of shredded mozzarella cheese. There's a lot. Yeah. You can also buy the whole piece of cheese and grate it yourself. So yeah. I'm gonna have one actually. I'm really hungry.
Okay.
We would also have this with hot chocolate. It's really good. something that's sweet in general. I'm gonna start doing the I should last the dough rest a little bit more like you guys should. I'm just gonna start doing the small balls so that you can see like the size of them. Because if you're doing too big, they're gonna look like a pancake, and you don't want that.
Do you add anything else besides cheese? Ever? Like for replacement?
I'm not quite sure. Like I just know we use these two types of cheese, mozzarella because it's like cheesy when it melts, and the feta cheese in this case because it's salty, so it gives that extra flavor.
So not cheese is what it makes it nice.
Yeah. Like I said, there's another version of this bread without the cheese, and it's called almohadas. So the guys, I don't know how small.
Should be a little bigger than a ping pong ball, I guess, or
Yeah.
about the same size.
You have something like this.
And you can make them like a ball, but they're still gonna like get a little flatter, but they're
Yeah.
still gonna be they're gonna rise because of baking powder. So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
As long as they're not flat like a pancake, they're good.
Yes.
Janie says this might be nice with some olive bits.
Oh.
Olive bits. I'm guessing it's olive.
Oh.
Just olive.
Oh. I wouldn't tell. I usually have it with something that's sweet. If that's sweet, then it would be the perfect Colombian combination, I guess. So for my pan, I usually put like 3, and I leave a space of like 2 fingers. I don't know how much that is in inches or centimeters. But I try to leave a space because they're gonna grow a little bit on the.
Yeah, because they're gonna get a little flatter, which means you don't want them to start sticking next to each other.
Yeah, we have that problem here. So with the amount that I did, I should, because my pen is a little small, I would have to bake like 2 batches of Pandebono. You're gonna. What's the size of a finger?
They're done. I don't think I'll do it.
The dough should be like thick or like strong enough so that they don't like they should be able to keep the shape, the round shape. Okay, so this is the space for the second row. So there's still like 2 inches on the side and front of every little bowl. I'm just gonna keep going and going until I fill this up.
So
that
we
I
have
can-
about 12. I guess.
Yeah. 12 small Pandebonos. I'm gonna say this is more like a how do you call that food they have between meals? Snack. Like a snack they will have, especially on the street. So you find the like little carts of fruit, or you can go to a bakery and they would have it. But it's more like a snack between lunch and dinner, around 4 or 5. We have dinner pretty late that too, around 8, 9, and it's usually something very light.
And lunch is the important one.
Yeah.
And do you have a version of these things but fried?
I think there's a thing that's actually called pandebono, and it's hard, like it's like a toast. It's really hard to eat. And you wouldn't fry it, but it's really hard. So I actually don't know how those are made, but I would say fried. And I have to admit that the best one, the ones that you could find in Colombia, are in Cali. It's not debatable. There are certain food and meals that you could find in each specific region that any other region could make it better. Like each region has their own meal, and there's just so many differences between us, like cultural differences regarding food, dances, music.
It's a big country.
It's a big country, so you have. I think the same thing happens in all big countries like Brazil, Mexico.
States, Canada, even.
Yeah, I have something like this at this point. It's all perfectly separated. So I'm just gonna put them in the oven for 30 minutes. And I would recommend to cover the dough while the first batch bakes. So I think that would be everything. You have to repeat the process, of course, if you have more dough to bake. But after you put them in the oven, you have to bake them for around 30 to 40 minutes, depending on your oven. But yeah, they should look something like this for reference. And they're very cheesy and they're really good. And I really hope you guys have enjoyed this class. I know this is the last one. And I really appreciate all the participation and everything you guys have had with the patience, of course. And yeah.
We're glad we got the chance to do this. It means a lot.
Yeah, especially because it represents our cultures, 2 different cultures, but yeah.
Any last questions before we switch off? Welcome to the class. Otherwise, that will be all.